Hi, this is Annie from the ADHD Minimalist.
This is my latest project for my daughter's room. She's getting a new bed and I decided to make her a headboard. I got out all the things I'm going to need. Staplers and extra staples and lots of different buttons because I think I'm just going to do different colored buttons. So these are just buttons I've picked up from secondhand stores. And then you need special thread. In Sweden we call this bear thread. It's extra strong. So here I think, there you can see. It's called bear thread. Extra strong button and carpet thread. I bought this in the States. This will work just as well. You're going to need really big needles, a little scissors, and I find it's easier to cut the mattress with a really good knife. Make sure you change the blade and it's sharp. I had my husband drill holes in a piece of plywood. This plywood is about 1 centimeter thick. And I went ahead and had 2 holes because then I can put the thread through one hole, through the mattress, and through the other hole, tie a knot. And so, see how this works. Then we also have, this is a piece for the headboard. So there's 2 pieces here. One for the side of the bed and one for the headboard so she doesn't flail and hit herself. You can see we had trouble figuring out where the holes were supposed to be and we had to redo it several times. But I think we finally came up with a good plan. The first thing I did is lay the mattress out on the floor. Thin mattress that you put on top of a box spring mattress that we were going to get rid of, and I just happened to save it when I realized we were going to do this project. So you can probably find stuff like this at a secondhand store too. One time I lucked out and found something similar that wasn't even used at a secondhand store. If you're on a budget otherwise, you can usually find stores that sell beds that will cut this for you to the right size. I'm not exactly sure what that costs, but that could be something to look into if you don't want to cut it yourself. So what I've done now is we cut this, we made markings. So I need to make sure that this last centimeter or centimeter and a half isn't covered with mattress because the other board is going to butt up against it there. And this is where it's going to be attached to the bed. And then it's also going to be attached at the top. The very top, I'm going to have the material go over the edge, but there will be a piece of trim at the top connecting it to the wall. So it'll be a little more stable that way. So anyway, I put this on top of the mattress and I made sure that where I'm not supposed to have mattress, it's not covered with mattress. So I'm making this really easy for myself. On the other end, here the mattress is supposed to go all the way to the end. So now all I have to do is get the knife and start cutting. Okay, here we go. I'm starting to cut. See, you can see that it made a hole. And so now I'm going to kind of like hold this open with my hand and keep cutting till I get close to the bottom. Okay, so I cut it the right size and now I'm cutting it off at an angle. So it's really not that hard. You just make sure that you point the knife a little bit to the side when you're cutting, and then you have to cut several times to get all the way through. So this is the end. It's gonna screw into the bed here, and I just want this to taper off so it's not sticking up and bumping into the mattress. So when I get the material on here, it'll just sort of compress and push down there, and then it shouldn't be sticking up too much. Now I'm gonna cut. I just have enough space here to I'm going to pull this tight and pull it around the edge and staple it. And I'm going to go ahead and cut about 2.5 inches around the edge of this whole headboard. And I prefer to use these scissors because I'm not going to finish the edge at all. I'm just going to cut it with these. I've laid the material on top of the mattress. I'm cutting around, giving myself at least 2.5 inches around the edge. If you want to give it a little bit more, that's not a problem. I know this looks really wrinkly, but I found that you pull on it so much before you staple it that a lot of the wrinkles come out on their own. For the ones that don't, I prefer to steam it with a steamer after I'm done. Okay, the first thing I'm doing is I'm stapling at the bottom. So this is where the bed is going to screw into the bed frame. And I'm actually going to just cover that with material Usually that's okay if you drill a hole first before you put the screw in, that the material won't be a problem. You could just cut it off, but then if you were going to cut it off, I think I would fold it over and staple it again, something like that. But I'm going to tack this down on the back side as well. But the point is here, I can't have any padding on this part, and I'm tacking it down here with staples to keep the mattress in the right place before I pull it over the top and tack it down on the back side. Okay, I'm picking this thing up now because I'm going to staple the back side with it standing up. You see the mattress there? And you always start in the middle. So you start in the middle and you work your way out to the right and then to the left. And that's because you'll get the nicest, tightest pull on the material that way. This material I used isn't the thickest and it's pretty cheap. So the ideal material would be to have a little bit thicker material, maybe for upholstering furniture. But since I was having trouble finding the right color, this one was the right color, but a little bit flimsy. So I glued the string down on the back side, and on the front, I glued behind all of the buttons on the thread, because the first one I did, it started ripping the fabric a little bit, and I honestly didn't have any more trouble with that, but just as a precaution, I sewed through twice with this really thick thread, and then I put glue on it. So putting the needle in here, and I honestly had to press. I didn't have quite a long enough needle, so this is the longest one I had at home, so I'm pushing all the way through, and then I have to push on the other end on the foam to get it through. So there's the needle. I'm going to pull it out. And okay, see, I'm pulling it through, but I'm going to leave a tail so that I can tie a knot. Here, I put the first thread through the bottom hole, so I'm putting this in the top, and then I'm just kind of guessing where it is. And that, see, I didn't quite get in the right place, but now I did. So it's not super hard. I had one that I had a lot of trouble with, but other than that, it's been pretty easy. So there's the needle. And I actually cut myself cutting the foam with a knife earlier. That's why I have a Band-Aid. But then I'm going to pull it out on this side, and I am going to pull it as tight as I can and tie a knot, and then do it again. So I got it through one time, and now I'm pulling it through again. And you're kind of blind on the second part. And you just sort of have to poke in there until you find the right spot. And sometimes I've accidentally got it through. Like that happened to me on this one too. He went through the same hole twice, and then I just had to pull it out and start over. Okay, so I put the button on. Let the button hang like that a little bit. And apparently I need 2 hands. I squirted some glue behind the button, and then I'm going to pull it tight. What I do is I'm going to go around on the back side and pull on the thread. I pulled the button tight, and the glue isn't really to hold the button in place because the thread does that. The glue is to keep the material from tearing, and maybe even to keep the thread in place a little bit. Then here on the back, I tied a knot, and I'm going to put some glue on that and cut the extra string off. Here is one piece of this headboard, which actually wraps around part of the bed, so this is a sideboard, I guess you could say. Keep my daughter from banging into the wall at night. We just picked out all these random buttons and put on. My son thinks this looks like something from the 50s, which maybe he's right. So, but the other one isn't really done yet. Some of my supplies. Have this one here, and I've just started putting one in here, so I have all of these buttons to put in this one yet before it's done. Today we have a little bit of building chaos here in my daughter's room. These bottom drawers are going to be as deep as the bed, so they're almost 80 centimeters deep. These ones are not. They're a little bit smaller. These were actually drawers that we had that we pulled out of a piece of furniture that was falling apart. And back here, we're a piece of plywood with a hole, so you can grab it and pull it up, and you can just store maybe winter clothes in here underneath the mattress. And the reason we have these is because her brother is sleeping on the other side of this wall. And we sound insulated in his room, but he's worried that he's going to hear her when she sleeps wall to wall. So there's going to be a headboard that comes up to here and a padded headboard that goes all the way around. And behind that, we're putting this, which you're not going to be able to see. Anyway, it will be really interesting to show you later when we actually get all the pieces together. Here's the entire bed. Headboard and all. I'm going to use this to step on. So this is the step stool to get up to the bed. Actually, most of the time she doesn't even use it. She just sort of like hops up, but I use it when I get in and out of the bed. All the different buttons, you can tell they're different colors, but you can't really see how fun they are from here. But that's about it.